All right, hey, welcome. It's Petri here. Thanks so much for coming by. We're doing a wonderful seascape painting right here, right now. We're getting excited. We're going to show you how you're going to complete this step by step as you go. We'll teach you all the methods and techniques right here on this video. We're going to use, starting out with our photograph. We're working from actually a printout from our printer. We put some grid lines on this. We take these same grid lines that we're using right here, which all the great masters through history have used to create their wonderful paintings. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to create those grid patterns with pencil lines. We'll show you how to do that. Once we have that, we're going to work from this. Incidentally, you'll see this on the camera at all times above. And then once you do that, we're going to show you all the colors. So all the beautiful colors of the ocean, the greens, the blues, the dark blues, the gorgeous colors. Oh my gosh, we're going to cover all the beautiful washes of color that you're going to use to get this painting done, as well as we're going to use some titanium white. Yes, titanium white. We're going to use this titanium white to create some beautiful splashes in the water, the crashing waves coming in. You'll see how you're going to use that. You're going to splash that onto your painting. You're going to see how to do that. You're going to cover this whole video as you go to get everything completed for yourself as we work together. Stay tuned. We're just going to get a few things together here as we get started. So I'll come right back in about 2 seconds and we'll get everything all set up and ready to go with our pencil sketch, our layout. We're going to show you how to do all your grid lines. Again, the grid lines here, we're going to do those on the painting. The pencil lines, we'll show you how to get all the rocks in just the right place so that when you're done doing your pencil sketching, which takes a little bit of time, don't worry about it. Your pencil sketch is probably one of the most important things you're going to do with your watercolor, so you get everything in the right place, just perfect. And once you're done with that, then you're having some fun with the colors and getting all our washes in here for our wonderful seascape. And it's going to make you feel cool. It's summertime, so if you need to feel cool, this is going to make you feel cool with lots of cool colors, blues, greens, and then the colors of the rocks, the nice warm colors of the rocks, soaking up that sunlight. And you're going to have a fun time. All right, we'll be right back. All right, hey, it's Petri here. Welcome to my video. We're having a great time here. We're going to be doing a beautiful seascape scene, and I always mention that you've just seen a finished painting. So we had that on camera just a second ago, so you'll see how that's the best thing to do, is to see the finished painting right away. This way you kind of see what your goal is working towards as you go through this video. And I'll cover all the steps and methods that you need, and the colors to mix, and the paintbrushes to use. I'll cover every bit of detail you need to get this painting done, just like we're going to do right here, right now, and you'll finish up with the same finished painting we just saw a second ago. So what I'll do is we'll just start out here with the first part, which is the layout of the painting, how we're going to kind of divide up our rectangle here. So we just have a basic sheet of watercolor paper. I'm using gummed block paper, and you can use any paper you want to, any watercolor paper you want to. Main thing is you just want to tape it down to your surface. And maybe in some future videos, and let me know in the comment section, do you want to see me do videos on how to set up your watercolor paper on your table or where you're working, or maybe do you want to see what type of papers I use and what type of setups I have in my studio and what I use? Please let me know. If you want to see these type of things on my videos, just let me know in the comment section. If I see a lot of people asking me, yes, Chris, show me how to tape down my paper to my working surface, or what type of paper should I use, or if you're interested in these type of things, I want to put as much content on my channel, on my YouTube channel here, that's going to help you in your watercolor journey. I don't want to sort of leave a lot of stuff like to guessing. I want you to have all the information you need. I just wrote a recent book, and you'll see it down below in the comment section below. I hope you'll buy my new book. It's got tons of great information, tons of beautiful paintings I've created over the best of my best paintings over the last 5 years. I'd like you to buy my book, and start trying to paint those paintings that are in my book. I don't really necessarily think you should be reading really intensely on all the things that I've written there. Please read the things that I've written in there, but the main thing is, if you're just in there drawing, pencil sketching the drawings, and then doing the paintings and using the colors you're seeing in those paintings, you'll get to the right place. You'll be well, ahead of things if you can do that. But in any case, I will give you all the information you need, or any information you need. And always, if you have any questions at all, please leave them in the comment section. You can always email me at chrispetri@att.net. And I can always answer your questions there too. If you have something elaborate you need more clarification on, anything like that, don't be bashful with asking me questions in the comments section. That's kind of the best place, or even emails is great too. This way I can use my laptop and I can type a lot faster. I tend to type pretty slow on my iPhone. So in any case, yeah, if you can email me, it's better. But if you, comment section's fine too, whatever you want to do. So here the first thing we're going to ask ourselves is, let's look at this photograph we're working from. I found this online. I printed it on my printer. I taped it down to my table. And now I'm going to work right from this photograph that I printed out. And I look right away and I say, this is so beautiful. What a great photograph this person took. Probably a vacation photo, I would say, along the shore. And we can see right away, 3/4 of the way up, or 2/3 of the way up, the person took the picture, and that's where the distant ocean line landed, about 2/3 of the way up. So I already kind of prepped my tape here, and I made my hash marks: 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. So these are thirds. So I've broken down my vertical layout on my paper into thirds: 1/3, 2/3, and then obviously the top third. The distant ocean is at 2/3. So I make my hash mark. I use my T-square, rest it on the edge of my watercolor block. So I'm using block paper. So you can always research what block paper is. I'm using watercolor block paper, Fabriano, extra white, rough paper. Extra white, rough paper, Fabriano, extra white, and it's block paper. So it's all the pages are glued together, and you just work on it. When you're done working on your paper, you peel off the page, the watercolor paper. You peel off one sheet, and you work with your next sheet as you go. All right, so we just did the first thing we wanted to do. That was it. We just went up 2/3, made our line across. That's our distant horizon line, which is the distant ocean. And then now what we can do is just take a pencil as we're going here, and just let's notice that over here on the left. Let's start on the left and work our way this way. Over on the left, just below the horizon line here of the ocean, there's a little bit of some rock showing. You know what? Maybe let's not even worry about this. I'm not even going to worry about these few rocks over here. I'm not even going to worry about that. I'm going to leave that all white mist and waves crashing in. So that's going to help me. I'm going to already come up here and make some pencil lines. What I'll do is I'll make them a little darker so you can see them, and then I'll lighten them up later. But you'll see I'm going to make some pencil lines here, and I'll lighten them up again with an eraser. But I just want you to see I'm trying to just make the outline of the shape of the mist and the waves crashing in like this with my pencil. And then I look across here, and again, let's just do this. To make life easy, I will take some tape, and I'm going to tape over those rocks there on the left-hand side. Like that. And I'll just put a line there so you can kind of see. So you can see that I've cropped out or taped over that little bit of rocks that were over here on the left. I don't want to start out over on the side of my painting with some rocks. That's going to maybe distract my vision over here on the left side. I don't want to do that. I'd rather have all just mist and waves crashing in here, beautiful white mist and things like that, and ocean water coming in here. So let's leave that as it is. Taped off, and we're going to start out with all just white paper over here. Then we're going to look and say, all right, the next bit of rocks I start seeing is right about here. And if we looked at this and said, well, where is this rock where it starts? You could do another really fun thing I like to do is just kind of bring that line up and just say, okay, let's line that line up here. So if you have this first bit of rocks you're seeing right here in the photograph, and you take your pencil and you rest it on there straight up vertically like this, then you can just take that line and make a little hash mark there. Okay, I'm a little bit out of the camera. Let me zoom out. There we go. So you can kind of see how I can do this. I can take this little bit of line of rocks where the rock starts here, take my pencil, rest it down, then rest my finger here, leave my finger there. Right at that point, I make a hash mark. That's where I want to make my first bit of rock starting. Then I say to myself, where is this mark in relation to the rest of this horizontal plane here? I would say that's about a quarter of the way, because if we go halfway here and another quarter of the way here, yeah, we have 4/4 up here. So basically we're really breaking this down into a grid. So if you can imagine, you could always take a ruler, and I'm looking for a small half-size ruler. I know I have one somewhere. Well, I don't see it right now, so I'm going to do it by hand. 1/4 here. What I'll do is I'll make it in red marker. Red pen. I want to make this in red pen so you can really see it clearly. I'm going to take this quarter mark here and go like this. Like that. Halfway this way. 3/4 of the way this way. Let's make a grid here. Simple. Let's just do it. Grid here. That's the distant ocean line right here on the 1/3 this way. And here's the other third across here, approximately. So now you see I've made a grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 cubes, 12 grids, 12 squares. And we broke it down into thirds going vertically, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, and then across the vertical, horizontal, we went 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. So you could think of it as cooking. I need 1/3 of a cup here, 2/3 of a cup here. I need a 1/4 cup here, a 1/2 cup, 3/4 of a cup, and then another full cup here. 4 1/4 cups equals 1 full cup. So if you use like basic kind of like ideas of just breaking things down into smaller parts, that's how you get your grid lines here. Just so we could say, let's use these grid lines to lay out this painting right on our paper. So again, we set here the quarter mark here. Let's do the same thing here. Let's go halfway, quarter, quarter, 4/4. So you have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4/4. 1, 2, 3, 4/4. So now we'll say this first one here is where that rock starts here, and it starts a little bit below that first or that second third, this line here. Or you can just think of it as lines. Well, this is the bottom line, this is the top line. Bottom line's about here. Top line's about here. So you just say one. Okay, oh, it's a little bit below this top line here, and it's in line with this quarter mark here. So that's where I'm going to start, right here. And that's going to be my rock over here. Like this. Okay, so now we sort of are just using these cubes basically, and you could do the same thing. You can take these, make just a little bit of a light line that only you can see, and back it. I'll do it a little bit dark. Well, I don't think you can see that really. Maybe you can see it a little bit, but I'm going to make these same grid lines on my watercolor paper, and I've just done that. You can do that too at home, but you can make your pencil lines even lighter so that they're just barely visible, and then once you're done sketching, you can just erase it. It's as simple as that. All right, so let's take a break now. We've kind of done a lot of information. I'm kind of putting a lot of information out here right now quickly, and you're probably like thinking to yourself, oh, I've done this before, or you might be saying, wow, I never saw anything like this in my life. This is really helpful, or I think I'm going to try it. Whatever the case is, don't worry about it. This is just something where let's keep working on it, but let's take a break first. We've done a lot of work so far here. We've kind of just said that we wanted to lay out our grid pattern over our photograph. We went quarters across the horizontal, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. So that's 4 cubes, equal distance between each. Then we went thirds on the vertical layout, 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, and then we put lines across there. Then we did the same thing here. We put very light pencil lines, something that you'll only do back in your studio, back in your home, wherever you're working. You're only going to put a super light, tiniest bit of light pencil line. I'm trying to make them a little darker here so you can see them, you know, while we're doing this video, but that's what you want to do. And then once you do that, then everything will sort of like, okay, wow, that's pretty easy. This first dark bit of rocks here, I know it's here. It's in this cube here. What cube? Oh, it's this cube right here. Okay, good. And it's a little below the top line and a little bit above the bottom line, and that gives you right where it is. And it ends right here on this line, this vertical line here. So right away you can see, using this grid pattern, you're going to be able to locate everything and transpose this drawing right onto your watercolor paper almost exactly as you're seeing it here. This is the key. This is how you would actually do it. I've seen many great master artists. I mean, I've been studying art and paintings for 20 years now. I have DVDs. I have seen many YouTube videos. The greatest artists ever use this style of grid work to get their paintings laid out correctly, where they want them pretty exact to what they're working from, whether it's a photograph, or if they're working out in real life, they might sort of look at things and think of everything as a grid as they're looking out into the still life. They might be on scene, painting something on scene, and they break things down into cubes basically, so they look at things as grids, and then they try to fit everything in just right within these grid patterns that we have. So please use this method as much as you can. Do not think of this as something I don't need to do it. It seems like it's too intense. Try to think of it as an artist. Think of it as this is what the top greatest artists of all time use. The greatest of the best artists of all time, they used these grid patterns to create their paintings when they were working. They used them in many different ways, these grid patterns, but they used these. These were how they sort of were able to get their paintings to the proper scale and dimensions to what they wanted to create. They didn't want to paint something outrageous that didn't make any sense. They wanted to kind of capture what they were seeing in front of them. They wanted to do more of a realistic painting. So let's take a break. I know I've covered a lot of stuff, but I'm sure you've got plenty of patience, plenty of time to sort of percolate this in your mind, and we'll come right back in about 5 or 10 minutes or so. We'll take a little break. We'll come back and we'll just finish up our drawing. We've already got our drawing started with our rocks, and this is going to be fun. It's not a complex type of painting and drawing. It's pretty much will go really nicely as we just finish up our drawing and then get our beautiful colors in there, our washes, our splashes of white color and paint and foam. You'll see it's going to be really a fantastic time here. So we're just getting started. Let's get back to it in just a minute. All right, we're continuing on here. So we were just talking about using this grid. It's so important. Try it out. Please, please, please try out this grid pattern with your photographs, if you're working from photographs, or even if you're working with your iPad or your iPhone or your computer screen. You can always use some acetate, plastic film. It's called acetate. I think I have it in the description below, possibly. I'm not sure, but if you just look up Duralar, Duralar, Duralar acetate, they're plastic sheets. You can buy a little pad of plastic sheets. You pull out a sheet of the Duralar, and then you can tape it on top of your phone, tape it on top of your computer screen, and you can make with Sharpie markers. All you have to have is some Sharpie markers. All you need are some Sharpie markers, red or black, anything like that. Sharpie markers, red or black, and you mark your grid lines on that acetate paper, acetate film. It's like a film. It's basically like a sheet of plastic, very, very thin sheet of plastic. And you can draw your grid lines on top of your Duralar acetate sheets with this red or black Sharpie markers, permanent markers. And actually it lasts forever, because all you have to do is when you're done, you use a little bit of nail polish remover or some type of like paint thinner, anything like that, with a cotton ball, and you can wipe off all the grid lines off your sheet of acetate paper, acetate. And we've covered that too. You want to look up on my videos, Chris Petri, using plastic, Duralar or acetate. I have videos on it, how to use it. We'll cover it in future videos too. Just let me know if you're interested in that. Also, leave comments. Are you interested in learning how to use plastic sheets of acetate and Duralar to make grid patterns over your phone, your home computer, photographs? I just drew and kind of ruined my not ruined my photograph, but obviously you can see I printed this out on my printer. Now I've drawn over it with some marker. So now, you know, I'm kind of stuck with that. You could use some plastic film and you don't have to do that. You can print this beautiful picture of this seascape one time, and then you just put plastic over it and do your grid lines over the plastic. So it kind of saves you on a lot of extra work and ruining some of your photographs if you are practicing with photographs and things like that, and doing your compositions and paintings from photographs. Or using your phone or your computers and things like that. You put your plastic over your phone or your iPad or your home computer, you use that plastic, you tape it on your screen, and you draw your grid lines just like we did here with the red. And there's no harm, no foul, no muss, no fuss. You just put the grid lines on the plastic, work from that, and then you peel off the tape and the plastic, and you're done, and it's all well and good. So we'll maybe cover, again, let me know in the comment section if you want me to cover some of those methods and techniques of using some of the acetate, Duralar, plastic sheets with grid lines to use your home computer, your phone, your iPads, your electronic devices if you're using those to create your paintings. So in any case, let's get back here. We have the darks here of the rocks along the shore. Then we're saying, okay, over here I can see the grid line right in the 1, 2, 1, 2, so 2 down, 1 over, 2 down, 1 over. Here in this corner, I see some more rock over here, like that. Then that goes across over here, and then it kind of starts to, the rock starts to transition into this lower square here, this lower cube grid, like that. And then over here, there's some more rock here, and it goes over here. And then over here we have some rocks up like this, like that, and another rock over here like so. And then up here we have waves crashing in, and then about halfway down we have some more rock up here, like that. Okay. And I'm just shading in my rocks, so I kind of know where my rocks are going to be painted in dark. And we have this here, like that, like that. Then we have another bit of rock over here, kind of like out in the distant foam and waves crashing in. There's a little bit of rocks over here, like that. Then we have more rocks over here on the left. Just on this lower left-hand corner, you'll see some rocks up here, some darks, and you don't have to get too fussy with that. You know, you just want to capture a few of the darks over there, those rocks. Then over here, you'll see more rocks in the foreground here, like this. There's some more rocks going into the, like this. And I'll maybe do something a little different. I'll put the rocks in a little bit of a different shape, not exactly like the photograph. And there's some more rocks here, a little bit of rock sticking up. And the rest is all ocean, water, and then the sky up here. This is the distant ocean line there. And here. All right, so you see we have our whole sketch in. I've shaded the dark rock areas, so I know when I'm doing my dark. So when we're doing our darks here, we kind of know wherever we shaded a little bit like this, we know that's our dark rock shapes that we're going to create. And then we know here we did this outline, the silhouette of the waves crashing in and the waves hitting the rocks and exploding out, and some beautiful spray, ocean spray. That's really cool. That's going to give us a real fun effect. We're going to leave this all white paper up here. So now we're ready to paint. The only thing I want to do is I'm just going to erase my grid lines if I can. Some of my grid lines here. So you'll notice that wherever I have white foam and things like that, I want to leave that white paper, so I want to lift up those grid lines. So you lift up your grid lines once you're done with your drawing and your sketch here, and you'll see that I've done that. And then trust me, once you start putting the paint on, you're not going to see the grid lines, especially if you did it really lightly at home where you're working. You do your grid lines really, really super light, only so you can see them. And it doesn't matter if you're using plastic over the top of your photographs or your computer, your iPad, your computer monitor, your TV, maybe even you might work from your TV set. You can put your plastic over the top, Duralar acetate plastic over the top of your TV too. They make really big sheets of actually acetate. I have a couple different pads of Duralar acetate sheets. I buy them in big pads, and I actually have 2 pads, or I just bought a large pad again. I bought just a new pad the other day of like 50 sheets, and then because I've used them over the years, but it took me 15 years to use up one pad of like 50 sheets, so they last a lifetime actually, the pads of acetate plastic. So you'll check that out online. Maybe it's in the comment section below. I forget now if I have it in there, but I have all my art supplies for watercolors down below in the comment section. So if you'll see there in the description box, you'll see, you might have to type the word more, but you'll see all my art supplies there. You can click on those, check those out. Those are what I use. I can definitely stand by and say, yes, those are excellent quality art supplies that I use on an ongoing basis. You're going to have good luck with them. They're not going to be like not performing well for you. So I'm hoping you'll check those out if you need to, Okay, so we're good. We have our sketch done. We used our grid pattern, like we just kind of went over the whole grid pattern, how to use that. We just used our kneaded eraser to erase the grid lines if there is any, or if you did them really lightly, you might just have to do a little bit of a touch here and there to lift up a few little grid lines, but you should be fine. I made them darker so you can see them on the video. Okay, all right, great. So we will take another break so I can get my brushes ready. I have to go find my watercolor brushes across the studio. I'll bring them over here to my art table where I make my videos, and then we'll get started on the painting. All right, so now we're working into more of the fun part of the video, which is the painting. But we do have to work up to the painting, which is doing the work, the grid work, the pencil lines, the pencil drawing, using our reference photograph, laying out our grid lines, laying out our composition. That's so important when you first start. I know it's a little bit like you want to get into the painting part right away. I'm the same way too. I'm always excited. I want to do the painting parts first, or I want to get into that really fast. But just remember, it's always really crucial to kind of get your sketch done correctly, get your grid lines down, your hash marks down. It depends how complicated you want to make a painting with your grid lines and things like that. But I did want to use the grid line here, the grid lines here on this photograph, because all these rocks and things, they're kind of like, it's not like I'm drawing a house or a building. They're kind of like all on the paper, they're on the photograph here, and they're all just kind of like, all over the place in a sense. Like they're not really like in too much of a systematic order, the rocks and everything. So that's why I wanted to do the grid line, so that I can really help myself in this painting to get more of an accurate transition from the photograph here onto my paper. And I'm hoping that's really something you'll take away from this video. I think it's really important that I mention that. So now that we're kind of really set, now we have everything all set, let's start mixing our colors. Now I'm going to go in and grab some burnt umber and French ultramarine blue. That's usually my go-to, and then some burnt sienna and some alizarin crimson. This is going to be like my really dark that I'm going to use for the rocks. And let's just go right in and get the darks in first. So let's just start getting our rocks in here, our darks. You can add a little bit of purple into that, ultramarine violet. You can add a little purple into your darks, which is, again, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, a little bit of alizarin crimson. Now what I'm going to do is use my brush and kind of just look at the way this is kind of a jagged edge here along the top, like that. So I'm going to just take my brush and kind of move it like in a jagged fashion, because that's really how it looks here going across, because there's all foam and ocean mist and water coming over those rocks and kind of like exploding out in a really powerful fashion, which looks really great. So I want to capture that. And then over here it's a little more, we just have the rocks over here, and it's not really like anything really. It's a little more quiet over here on this section right here as we come around here, and then we'll see that. And this is my Charles Reed number 8 travel brush that I'm using right here. So I always buy, when my brushes wear out and the points wear off my brushes, I always buy new sets. Every couple years, maybe every 2-3 years, I buy new sets of brushes. And these are the travel brushes I really enjoy. And again, these are made by Escoda. This is a number 8 travel brush, and it's the Charles Reed Signature Series. I like to buy those. And you can actually find them, I think, down below. I might have them in the description below for a link into Amazon. So you can find them on Amazon if you want, using my links below. Or you can just type in, Escoda travel brush number 8, and then you can type in Charles Reed series. And you can get like a three pack of 3 brushes for like a very good price for these high quality brushes. And if you want to save a little bit of money and you don't want to spend as much money, they might have other brushes too on Amazon that you can get a little bit less, have to spend a little bit less money on those. But I think top quality is really good especially if you're talking brushes. Brushes are so important. When you're painting in watercolor, brushes are really important. I have a beautiful point on this, you can see on this brush. So if your brush tips are wearing out, that can be a problem. You can't get those nice sharp lines in your watercolors. So, and I'll rinse off my brush every bit occasion, and then dry off some of the water on a tissue, and then maybe lighten up. So I'll make some lighter bits of rocks here that have a little more light on them. And as you can see, we're going along really just getting our darks in. So I'm kind of going around this whole painting and just finding the darks. Here's another bit of dark rock here, rocks here. This is a little lighter though, so I'm going to take a little bit of water, add a little bit of water to you can always blot up a little bit of paint like that to make this rock a little lighter, because it does look a little lighter over here. Can you see how that rock is lighter a little bit? These are darker, they're closer to us. So basically when you're talking, like if you're trying to get a 3-dimensional quality in your painting, you'll make some of the rocks in the distance a little lighter. So that means you might blot up a little bit of paint, dampen up the... And you take this here and you make this darker, this line here darker. And then this rock out here in the distance is a little lighter, like over here, and this one's a little lighter over here. So you try to, anything that's out in the distance is getting lighter, cooler. You might add a little bit of blue to that. So we'll start incorporating a little more blue, some cerulean blue over here and over here to the rocks. Then let's get more darks here. French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, a little bit of alizarin crimson. These are a little bit closer to us, so these are going to be darker. These rocks over here. Rocks kind of have jagged edges to them. And then over here you'll see these rocks are jagged edges too. And we might make that a dark right there, just right down into the picture frame. Like that. French ultramarine blue. Okay, so I just made an executive decision to make some darker darks over here. Brown, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna. Like that. Over here on the left, sort of weight this down a little bit. But I think we're all set with our darks now. We have all of the darks of these rocks in the painting, and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to get those darks in first, and this is what you call alla prima painting. I cover this in my book. Really, just if one thing you'll kind of learn about if you pick up my book, and I'm really hoping you're going to pick up my book, I cover the two main methods that I use in watercolor and the two main methods that most all professional watercolor artists use. They use either the glazing technique or the alla prima technique. Right now we're using the alla prima technique, which is painting the darks in first and then going in and doing lighter washes to finish up the painting to get the rest of the painting completed. There's also the glazing technique, which is you would kind of go in and get your lighter washes across your whole painting first, really light washes, lots of water, and then start putting in your darks over the top of that as that dries. So I cover the two main methods and techniques of watercolor, which are really the solid foundational methods and techniques of watercolor, the alla prima method or the glazing technique. Here we're using, again, the alla prima technique. So in my book, if you purchase my book and you work in that book and you just kind of paint all of my paintings all the way through the whole book, you'll have a solid understanding of how those two techniques work. And those are all the basic two techniques you'll need to ever learn and methods you'll need to learn in watercolor. And once you learn both of them, you can use them in combination or you can use them separately, but you'll always know sort of how to go in and create a watercolor painting from whatever subject you're working from by using those two techniques in combination or either one or the other exclusively. So that's the main thing I wanted to say. And I'm really proud of my book that I did kind of accomplish that one main theme in the book. So that everyone could understand that if you really grab those two concepts and run with it, you're going to have a lot easier time painting watercolor, because watercolor is challenging. It's difficult. You'll have to navigate all the difficulties of watercolor, but as you paint, you practice, you work on it, you're going to get better and better. I guarantee it. And as you're joining along here, I'm hoping you'll subscribe. Subscribe on the right-hand side below. Don't miss a thing. I'm here week after week, month after month, year after year. You'll learn the basics of watercolor, as well as really more complex ideas with watercolor on my channel. I cover all of those methods and techniques, whether it's foundational basics or more intricate type things that you might learn in watercolor, the nuances of some of the techniques and methods in watercolor. You're going to learn it all here on my channel. All you have to do is subscribe, stick with us here, keep coming back over and over again. I cover everything in all of my videos every week, so you'll never be at a loss for what to do in your watercolor paintings. So enough of the talk. We'll come back, we'll finish up this painting. I think we're halfway through, I guess. So we'll finish up with the beautiful blue ocean water, the blue and green ocean water, the light blue sky and the foam and all of the white splashes of waves coming in here on this gorgeous coastal scene. I'm hoping you won't miss a thing here. I'm hoping you'll stick with me, and let's come back in just a minute. Okay, we're getting started again. I'm going to make sure right now that I don't let my focus I want to make sure I stay focused. I want to keep my palette clean. We did all of those darks now. Now we can just clean up our palette a little bit and start working with our cooler colors. And these rocks are, we saw that these rocks are very warm. They're, the burnt umber, very warm, earth color, earth tones. The red, warm. The burnt sienna, warm. Yeah, we have some ultramarine blue in there to kind of darken it up a bit, but you can see these are warm colors, the rocks. So now we're going to do the beautiful parts of the ocean. And what I would do is, if you're going to start to work on the next phase of the painting, which would be like the second part, which is the water, the sky, and the waves, the crashing waves coming in, I would clean all the dark washes that we were mixing and cleaning our brush here. We have some murky looking water that we were, rinsing off our brush when we were creating our darker darks for our rocks and things. Please always remember, keep a nice clean water bucket, especially now we're going to be doing some very beautiful light washes of blue and so forth, and we're going to keep some white paper on here. We might use a little bit of white, titanium white paint to do some like speckles and little bits of splashing for some of the waves, but we're going to try to leave white paper as much as we can. We'll show you how to do that coming up now. I'll take some fresh clean water. I might have to run across my studio and grab a bucket of or a bottle of water. Okay, so I have a bottled water, and I just filled up my water bucket with fresh clean water. So you can see here, this is crystal clear water now that we're going to work with. And I'm going to kind of use my same brush. I think I might just use my number 8 Charles Reed travel brush. I'll just kind of keep working with this. And we're just going to work with the lighter sky washes first. Let's go with some cobalt blue. Some cerulean blue here. So cobalt blue, cerulean blue, a little bit of French ultramarine too, there. And then let's just start going in and grabbing start putting some blue in here for the sky. So I'm going to keep this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it darker up here on top. And then as I work down over here, cerulean blue. So now you can kind of see I've got my sky color in. No worries. You want to add a little bit of raw umber here and there. And we'll add a little bit in the sky too, just to kind of tone down that blue just a little bit. You can use some raw umber like that. So as you can see, I'm just taking my brush and getting that lighter wash of blue in there. What I forgot to do, and I guess I'm not going to complain about it now, or you'll kind of learn from what I'm doing here. I should have erased the pencil lines where I created where the splashes are of the waves crashing in. I put a pencil line around those so that we could kind of see where those were in the picture. But I should have erased those really. But it's not really a big deal. This is a composition that I'm creating for you and I. So we're doing our composition to learn about how to create this wonderful scene. We're feeling the crashing waves coming in. We're feeling the beautiful coolness of this scene. We'll go in, we'll get some French ultramarine blue. We'll put a little bit of raw umber in that French ultramarine blue to Just warm it up a tiny bit. Maybe a little bit of green. We'll start getting some of that green in there. We'll use some Viridian green, maybe a touch of sap green, French ultramarine blue. And now we're going to come across here and we're going to get that dark blue like that, right across there. Ah, doesn't that look good? We'll put a little bit there too, and a little bit there. And then what you do is you kind of work that in. Then I would grab a little more French ultramarine blue. Thicker paint now. Use thicker paint, a little bit of burnt sienna, thicker paint, and a little bit of sap green. Use really, really thick paint here. Let's make a real striking line here in the distance, like that. Even though it's not in the picture, in the photograph, let's put that in there. And then kind of softly flow that on down by just using a damp brush. So all you do is you rinse off your brush, you dry off a little bit of the water on a paper towel or a tissue, and then you just sort of soften it down, that dark that you just put across the top here. Just like that. Soften it out. What that does is it kind of really makes a nice flow of the darks, of the stones, the rocks, the coastal rocks here in the on the beach along this ocean scene. We're kind of adding a little bit of a nice dark that kind of reaches up into the higher portions of this painting, right up here like that. And then what we'll do is rinse off our brush once again, get some light cerulean blue like this, splash a little bit on there like this, and now we're going to go in with a real soft touch of light washes. And there's even foam and things like that starting to happen along here. So let's leave that. A little bit of light brushwork. You just kind of tap on the paint there a little bit. You could even use a little bit of tissue, blot up a little bit. And that kind of has that feel of foam coming in. And then you could take some white, titanium white, squeeze that onto your palette over here. I hope you can see my palette over here on the left hand side. I just squeezed out some titanium white here, and that's going to, we'll probably have to mix more or bring more of that out onto the palette, but here at least I'm getting some starts of it. So I'll add some water to my titanium white, and what I'll do is I'll splash on there. Okay, now if it's not splashing off my brush, that means I need more water. So always remember, if you're splashing and then you tap your brush and no water comes off or splashes, that means you just need a little more water to your palette with your white. And then you do that, and see how that now added more water. Now I splash like that. There we go. That's the first part of our crashing waves coming in. I'll rinse off my brush really well, dry off my brush on a paper towel or tissue, then I'll go in and get some green, Viridian green. Ah, doesn't that look good? Viridian green. Now you're going to start to touch in a little bit of that Viridian green into your painting like that. Doesn't that not look fantastic? A little bit up here too. Start to tie it in a little bit, different areas. Okay, so you can kind of see how we're just building slowly but surely. A little bit of water, colors of water, blues, greens, white, a little bit of that titanium white to just splash in there. to give ourselves that feeling of waves crashing and splashing in. Then what we'll do is we'll start looking around and saying, okay, a little bit of blue and green over here. Tap a little bit of color on there. Maybe a touch of that raw umber, just a little bit. Blot up a little bit like that. Then we're going to go in and get our white, titanium white. Titanium white and a good amount of water to get the splashes in there, and then we start splashing along that top of the so we splash along this area here. Then we also okay. We're just putting a tiny bit of shadowing with a little bit of blue, a little bit of green, cerulean blue, a little bit of the viridian green, a little bit of the raw umber, just to give ourselves a little bit of shadowing, cool shadowing underneath these crashing waves coming in. And what that does is that accentuates the lights at the top of the waves crashing in. So if we just leave everything white paper, that's not going to look as good as if we add a little shadowing there underneath, like this, like we're doing here. A little bit of shadowing builds a little bit of shadowing and volume to that, like that. You can always blot up a little bit too. Always remember though, your washes are going to dry lighter all the time. Your washes will always dry lighter, so when you put a wash down, remember it's going to dry about half as light as you're seeing when you first put it onto the paper. Okay, so now we're going to get more white, titanium white. Maybe mix in a little bit of that raw umber, just a touch of raw umber to the titanium white to make that white look like it's got some sunshine feel to it, some warmth to it, some sunlight. And I'll just splash on there. I'm making splashes because that is what is happening here. We have tons of crashing waves coming in. We have to have splashes of watercolor paint on our painting. And you just put it on. You don't worry. When splashes happen, no one's kind of counting how many splashes there are. They're just seeing all that excitement and going, wow. So that's what we want to create on our painting. The wow effect, the boom, wow. Look at all those splashes of water, foam. And that's what we're doing here. That's right. Then we add some little bit of white splashes there. And I think we've got it. Now the next thing, well, a little more. I think I need some more splashing right up here. Then you can make some more strong splashes like this, where you take the brush and swing it across. You got to be careful wherever you're working. I don't know if you have furniture and things like that, or you're trying to keep things clean. But if you have a studio, try to make sure you cover up anything that might get messy. Try to cover those things up, and then you do your splashes and make them exciting. And that means if you have to swing your brush really, aggressively, do that. Okay, so now we're just going to continue on, but the first thing I want to do is take a break, because I need to, you can see my water bucket now. See how my water bucket, it's all kind of like got white paint in there from the titanium white and blue, and it's getting a little bit murky, a let's start off with fresh, clean, crystal clear water again. So I'll empty my bucket, put fresh, clean, crystal clear water in there, and we'll start again. We'll start up again, and we'll start to finish up. I think all we need to do is really get our darker blues and greens here in the foreground for our ocean water that is flowing in through these rocks into this pooled area of water. And it's all cool water. You're feeling cool. If it's hot out, well, you're going to feel cool now as you're painting this painting, that's for sure. Okay, so we'll get started in just a second. All right, maybe we're having too much fun right now, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. Have fun with your watercolors. That's what it's all about, having fun, enjoying things, getting into the mood of the pictures. Like if you're creating a scene like this with the seascapes here, cool water, ocean waves crashing in, foam flying through the air. We have beautiful water pooling in the bottom of our painting here, kind of flowing around. Have fun with all these ideas. Think about these ideas. Hear the ocean waves in your mind. Have a great time of it. Maybe you're going to be in a next week's video. Maybe we'll create a beautiful scene where we're painting in the countryside, and we're painting some barns and things like that. And some birds. You'll hear birds chirping, and there'll be some wind kind of blowing around, and it's warm and sunny. And we're going to be making some weeds and grasses flowing around. Have fun with the ideas of your watercolors, whatever style you're painting in, or whatever the subject matter is. So here we happen to be doing seascapes, and I happen to this is probably one of my favorite subject matter to paint is seascapes, boats, kind of like ocean type, anything seascape and oceans and boats. That's one of my favorites, so you'll kind of know that from if you've been watching a long time. And if it's your first time here, my gosh, please subscribe. Don't lose us here. We're having so much fun. Stick with us here on my channel. If you subscribe, it's real simple. You click the subscribe button, and this way you'll just see my new paintings coming in when you open YouTube the next time, so you don't lose your place, or you don't lose track of me. Sometimes some people, they watch a video, they forget the person's name, the artist's name. It happened to me numerous times where when I was first starting out watching YouTube, I would see a great video by an artist, like a watercolor artist. I would watch it, and I would forget to subscribe, and then I would go to find that artist again, and I couldn't find them because I didn't remember their name. And maybe it was a while since I looked at the video, so I really couldn't go into my history searches because it was probably too far back. So just alleviate the problem, click on subscribe. This way you'll stick with me here, or you can always write down my name, Chris Petri, and then you'll find me the next time. But in any case, let's keep having fun. Let's enjoy the process here. So we have some fresh, clean water. I have my water bucket with fresh, clean water. I'm just pouring in some fresh, deliciously clean bottled water right into the water bucket here. So you can see I'm starting out with fresh, crystal clear water, because we're going to be doing some beautiful washes here with the ocean water coming in, the tides coming in. And so let's do that. Let's get some beautiful. My colors for the ocean have been really simple: French ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, cerulean blue. I'm using basically all my cools in the picture. Then I also use some greens, some viridian green, which is beautiful to use in seascapes and water like that. And then we have a little bit of raw umber just to kind of warm some things up a little bit as we go. Okay, so now we're just going to get a little bit more of that water feel going. Lots of blue. And there's also the foam. So the foam is kind of bouncing around everywhere. So I'll just take some lines and just start doing some parallel lines like this. So you'll see that I'm just going to do this. I will leave some white paper though, here and there. If you forget to leave a little bit of white paper, you can always lift up a little bit with your tissue, like that. a lot of white foam though. You can kind of see all this white foam splashing, and then you could take this bluish green color and use that for splashing too, because that's basically going to help the painting. So sometimes you might say to yourself, oh Chris, yeah, I don't see any blue splashes, but you know, if you add some blue splashes, it almost just creates the same effect as the white splashes that you used. It just creates that feeling of the waves crashing in. So don't worry about it. Have fun with this. There's going to be some more green and blue water flowing around here. Okay, there's lots of white foam everywhere. So that's what I'm going to sort of key in on. I'll splash some more. I think splashing is the key here. Try to get some really good splashing going on. And I think that is really looking good. If you want to add some dampness to the paper where the rocks are, and then lift up with your tissue to make some, and then you add some white to that, and there you have it. You have some more splashing going on over here, like that. So you can add some white splashes with your paint over here. Maybe there's some more white splashing over here. And you blot up a few spots too. If you want to get a perfectly straight horizon line, you could straighten up your horizon line really straight, perfectly. Like that, carefully. You have a little more horizon line there, there, and there. You could even add a little bit of that horizon line through your splashes, carefully and lightly, so that you can almost see through those, the splashing. You can almost see through to the horizon line through these splashes, these crashing waves coming in. You can see maybe in the background you can see just a little bit subtly the horizon line of the ocean, just here and there, so you'd blot up some of it. I have some pencil lines showing through there too. I don't think that's a problem. You could always take some white and cover over the pencil lines. That would work too. Then you can blend in some areas like that, and then you take your tissue and you blot up a little bit. You could add some more white. But I think that is really the only thing I think I would do is maybe soften up a little bit here and blot that up with a tissue. Just a little bit of softness there. Like that. And maybe a little more white. I'm not going to be complaining if you add a little bit of extra white. Touch of raw umber to that. At this point, I don't think it's too important to get any raw umber in there. Splash a little bit in there, like that. And again, a couple more aggressive, thick white paint. So I wouldn't add too much water. I'd try to... And I think that looks good. So I know you've had a great time painting with me. I'm so happy we're painting together. Let's get together again very soon. I'm hoping, again, you'll subscribe so you don't lose a track of us here. We're doing all types of paintings like this, seascapes, ocean scenes, beach scenes. We do figure painting. We do flower paintings. We do still life paintings with cups, saucers, fruits, vegetables, flowers. We do flower paintings. We do a lot of flower paintings on my channel. We also create beautiful cityscapes, city scenes with buildings, architecture, homes, houses, beautiful houses and buildings, all kinds of fun things like this. So stick here. You'll have a great time. I'm really glad you're stopping by over and over again, week after week, month after month, and even year after year. And many of you have been following me for many years, and I want to thank you, too, for all of you that have been with me a long time. It's great painting with you. We've had a lot of fun, and I'm sure all of you have gotten much better. It's great work. Many of you, too, have sent in paintings to my email account so that I can check out your work, and I'm just always like blown away at how beautiful everyone's paintings are looking. So I know everyone out there is doing a great job. So and I'm happy that I can work with you, and we'll all get better and better as we go. I'm always working on trying to better myself, do some better videos, do some better paintings, work on my techniques, and I know you're the same way. You want to do better paintings, more beautiful paintings on an ongoing basis, and that's what we're all about here on this channel. So thanks again for coming by, doing this wonderful seascape. And again, we're going to do lots more paintings just like this coming up in the future. And we'll see you soon, okay? Bye-bye.